So this time I want to talk about construction, deconstruction, things that appear too good to be true, or sometimes things appear to be too good to be true, but they're actually just good and true. A software platform that Richie and I work on, people look at and say, this is too good to be true. And they dig and dig and dig and they say, oh, it's just good and true. Okay, so it depends on what it really is, but let's take an example of something, because we're going to construct, deconstruct, we're going to dissect. Any of you who know this example, please let the others who don't know it participate. But if I said to you, John, I send you an email, I say, John, I predict that this stock will go up. And in fact, next week, I send you another email and said, last week I told you this stock would go up, and it did. This week, I'm telling you this stock will go up. And the next week, I send you an email and said, 2 weeks ago, I told you this stock would go up, and it did. Last week, I told you this stock would go up, and it did. Now I'm telling you this other stock will go up. And if I do this for 6 weeks, at the end of 6 weeks, in week number 7, I say, John, we've done it again. 6 in a row, I've picked winners. Imagine what it would be like if you subscribed to my financial newsletter for just $397 a year. Would you subscribe? How many show of hands? How many would subscribe? I picked 6 winners in a row. All of you would. Of course you would. Okay, so one has to say for a minute, what are some of the questions you would ask now? Let me hear some questions you would ask. You're looking at the situation. This guy has picked 6 in a row, said if you had invested $1,000 in each one of these stocks, just $6,000, you'd have now $71,412.87. How does this guy pick 6 winners? Is that what you'd ask that? How can he do that? Mitch, you know the financial world better than anyone in this room. How is it conceivable that someone could pick 6 winners in a row, or incredible luck?
It's impossible.
Impossible. Right, too good to be true. So, yet he's done it, hasn't he? So, is he a great stock picker, or is he a brilliant marketer? He's a brilliant marketer. Because we all know instinctively nobody could pick 6 out of 6, because if he could pick 6 out of 6, would he be hawking his newsletter? Or would he be in a quiet room hoping the SEC doesn't find him and get his billions of dollars and go buy an island or buy a country? Yet he's pushing a newsletter. So you have to dissect the offer. Too good to be true. What's his end game? He's selling a newsletter. What's going on here? You have to start dissecting it with your questions. Remember we talked last time about asking questions. Don't accept anything on face value. Ask questions. Dig. So I say, is he a great stock picker, or is he a brilliant marketer? I say he's a brilliant marketer. And I'm going to show you how this offer is done, and then we're going to take variations on it. So the first thing he does is he takes a group. It's called the universe. That's your total number of prospects. So he takes his group, whether it's 100 million, 200 million, it doesn't matter. And what he does is he breaks the group in half. And he does half of them, and he says up, and he does the other half, and he says down. So to half the group, he sends an email blast, a newsletter that says, this stock will go up. To the other half of the group, he says, this stock will go down. He has a 50-50 chance of being right. Let's say the stock goes up. Okay? So now, what's the value of this? Not so great. He crapped out. He said, the stock will go up, and it went down. Right? Anybody disagree? So now he looks at the upside. So what does he do? He takes the upside and he says, he breaks it in half and says, I'm going in the red and in the black. This next stock will go up, and the other half says this next stock will go down. So the stock goes up again. Again, it could go down, but he's going to work each side of it. So not much use here, right? Everybody agree? Okay. So now what does he do? He takes this group, and I'm giving you the simple version of this right now. And he continues this pattern, and that's the golden goose, isn't it? Now, he might do this 4 times, 5 times, 6 times, depends on his level of credibility that he wants to achieve. But this is basically the break. Everybody sees how that works. So he's been right 6 out of 6 times. His closing rate is off the scale. Because anybody who's following him at this point and sees every week, he's saying, this is how much you'd have right now, this is how much more you'd have. He's saying, he's showing the progressions, the stocks, where they are now. He's promoting himself brilliantly. And he's down to here, and his closing rate is, it's record-breaking. And this is how the financial newsletters do it in a lot of cases. Now, here's the question where I want you to all see more than what's on the board. Because the board shows you what you needed to see from the offer. Now let's look at this and say, what are we missing? You are all now brilliant marketers. So what am I missing here? Anybody who doesn't know this plan? We're missing something. Let me rephrase the question in a different way. Where are we leaving money on the table? Where is this guy missing an opportunity and leaving money on the table? Well,
You can short those stocks.
no, it's not about shorting. If he's right here, isn't he right here? Because in a way, it went up and he said it would go down, but what can he do with these people? Well, he can take the down ones and say, okay, this stock that I'm going to do will go up and run a line here, right? So what happens? Now he takes these people. I may not have the number of steps right, but you get the idea. He takes these people, and what can he say here? 5 out of 6 picks went up. Does that have as much credibility as 6 out of 6, or does it have more? How many people think it has more credibility? Much more, because it is, you can't let this one go, of course, because there were the get-rich-quick people who go, but when you say 5 out of 6, you go, okay, he's fallible, but he's running a great track record. Okay? Would it work with 4 out of 6? Yes. Less people, but again, it's a matter of he has all the data, he has all the funnels, he has all the campaigns. So he can run a 6, a 5, and a 4. He could even run a 3. Now, a 3 is tough because it's 50-50, but it's 3 out of 6 that he picked, you're still ahead of the game. If the numbers work out where you're really ahead of the game, he might go for the close because it costs him nothing. He's doing digital marketing. It's really not costing him very much to get this out there. So would you say that at a $400 newsletter, which also costs him very little, this guy's cleaning up? He can't get enough lists. And if you were running this company, wouldn't you translate it into 36 different languages? You'd run it in every industrialized nation in the world and have a content factory doing this, because what happens when they subscribe? Certainly you want to give them content, but they're paying in advance for a newsletter. And here's the thing, and part of the psychology. John, you just signed up on this thing. The guy was right 6 out of 6 times, or 5 out of 6, or 4 out of 6. You are a disciple. You believe him. You trust him. You spent $400 to affirm your allegiance to his way of operating, so you're going to take his advice.
Fear of missing out.
Exactly. Fear of loss, or the fact that you don't understand what's going on, but he's proven his worth to you and track record. So the persistency, how long you stay on, you may stay on a year, you may have a good few hits. He's going to use his psychology of what to invest in and why. Oh, here's why it went down. Here's what you have to do. Some of you shorted it, which was good. You took my advice from the 3 newsletters earlier when we talked about taking a second position. Now you go, oh my goodness, I missed that. I have to read his newsletter more carefully. and he's filling it with content and valuable things you can learn about finances. And so he's covering his content but. However, he's no better a stock picker than you are. So we have two different versions here of you can do the 6 out of 6. You can take these people here at the 5 out of 6, the 4 out of 6. Is there anything else we're leaving on the table? The downside. Everyone looks at the positive side of things. Forgive me for encroaching on the dark side, but you have to look at the negative too. There's a lot of money in the negative side. If we can talk about selling by fear of loss and selling by fear, those are the dark sides. Those are the negative sides. Why is it no one's seeing, well, until now, the negative side here? How about down, 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 and down? I predicted these stocks would go down, and 6 out of 6 have gone down. I saved you all this money. I know what's going to go up and what's going to go down, and I took the hardest one. Not what goes up. If I can predict what goes down, I can certainly predict what goes up, but I took the hard side to show you that you have to protect yourself, and I'm here to protect you. So the point is, and yes, you can get into that. He could certainly say, if you had shorted this and defined short, this is how much you would have made. Certainly he can do that. It's not their go-to understanding, but he can get them to understand it. Would you agree with that, Mitch? Great. So now you have, I predicted this 6 out of 6, 5 out of 6, 4 out of 6. Talk about, add in the short and how much you would have saved, how much I'm protecting you. And he's got a whole other downline here in his campaign to start marketing his newsletter. So you have every emotion you want to have as a seller. So let's look at something for a minute. He buys the names, he's renting the names that go out. Show me where his costs are in this. He's running an incredible campaign, very complex. And he has almost no costs. Now, let's look at something else. There's still money on this table. Where is it? Thank you. That's what he's leaving on the table. Monetization, upsells, downsells. Where are the pressure points that he can start moving people into things? Either he knows where his fall off is going to be, where he's not going to close on the $400 annual, so he might do a $39.95 a year program. Take the losses and say, for this much we'll give you this content, and start putting in upsells. Or maybe he's written an ebook and he upsells his ebook, or he has a webinar he brings you into, or a seminar group for live coaching. So if every single one of these will split, and of course even here, the ones that went down, you have so many opportunities to tout yourself on the short, on the profit, on the upsell, on wouldn't it be nice if you did this, look, come to, or as a lead gen to get them into an online webinar. Can you see how many possibilities there are? We started out with just, hey, isn't that clever, 6 out of 6. And look at where we are now. Look at how many different tentacles there are. This has applications for whatever you're selling, for whatever you're doing. It's not about selling a newsletter, it's what product do you sell? You're going to have people who want it and who don't want it, and if they don't want it, they are still an opportunity. Now, if they don't respond, that's one thing, but if they say no thank you, and so what about putting in a no thank you? Or not at this time, and then ask them why. When you ask a question, it's compelling. People have to answer it. Sometimes you get started on these, you take a survey, it's only 5 minutes. You can't stop. Most people don't just abandon it because they've made that commitment. They're going to answer the questions. I took a quick online survey for something I bought because I liked it and I was going to do it. I mean, it went on 8 pages. I finally said, okay, forget it. You don't know how to do a survey. But if you ask 5 or 6 questions or 4 questions, they're going to respond. You can say, no thank you, may I ask why? So to help us better serve you, sure, and you choose one of the others, one of the answers. And once you choose, I know exactly how to market to you. Do you know how many people don't do that? Let's jump into unsubscribe for a minute. How many of you have unsubscribed from emails? All the time. And what happens? They say, sorry to lose you. That's the go-to. That's not the go-to. So we're going to talk about that. Let's talk about that right now. But anybody have anything else on this they'd like to discuss?